Hey all, welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt. This is going to be the first video I'm making with my new camcorder. Still trying to figure out the finer features of it, but I think I've got it sort of set the way I want it, so I'm pretty excited about how it looks and how it records, and I think it's going to make shooting and editing video a lot easier and a lot quicker for me. So, but this is going to be a response video. I actually got tagged in a 5 RPG facts video by Mr. AJ Pickett over at the Mighty Glue Stick. And I think Sean Vegvari, Gaming Beast, started this tag video. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to say 5 RPG facts that people might not know about you, or that aren't at least common knowledge. And then you tag 5 more people who in turn have to do the 5 facts. So the people I'm going to be tagging to do this are my fellow provokers, Tim Carney over at Tabletop Terrors and Nate Vanderzee over at WASD 20. I'm also going to tag Alex, Captain Gothnog, Kirk from PhD&D, and Jenny Green of the Rogue DM. So you 5, I'm calling on you to also do the 5 RPG tag. So the first fact about me that people might not know is that I actually do work sometimes in the gaming industry. I've been freelancing with Fantasy Flight Games for a couple of years now, and you actually will maybe see my name in a few of their games. I'm listed in the credits of the Shards of the Throne expansion for Twilight Imperium. And I've also been involved in 3 or 4, maybe 5 Descent expansions to the 2nd edition of the Descent board game. And I've also done work with Alex, Captain Gothnog, with his company Critical Hit Publishing. I'm in the credits of several of his different publications, and also I did proofreading for Your Main Man for Within the Ring of Fire. I'm actually listed in the Within the Ring of Fire saga book as well. So, you know, nothing that is making it a full-time job, but I enjoy freelancing. I enjoy contracting my services out to different projects and things like that. And a lot of people have asked me if I've ever thought about, you know, doing something gaming related as a living. Of course I have. You know, it just hasn't really worked out yet. And, you know, I freelanced primarily for several years after college, and it's tough, man. It's tough not having insurance. It's tough not having, you know, a steady, stable income with benefits and paid time off and stuff like that. I got really burned out on it, and now, you know, I have a really stable job, 40-hour-a-week job, but I still freelance on the side, you know, so I can still kind of further my resume, further my portfolio, and get some more experience in the gaming industry. So, yeah, that's something people might not know about me, that I'm actually involved in the industry a little bit. The second fact is that I have never played original Dungeons & Dragons, and I don't really have a huge desire to. I've played from 2nd edition on, but I've never played original Dungeons & Dragons or advanced Dungeons & Dragons. I'm familiar with the rules, and I've read through a lot of the like OSR clones like Labyrinth Lord and Dungeon Crawl Classics and stuff like that, which are very similar in their rules to original Dungeons & Dragons and advanced Dungeons & Dragons. But just, I don't have that nostalgia factor that a lot of people have for original Dungeons & Dragons, and I'm not saying that nostalgia is the only thing that makes it a good system. I'm just saying I'm not as intrinsically tied with those early editions as I am with, say, like 3rd edition, which is what I grew up playing. So the rules just seem kind of clunky and arbitrary, and and not as fluid or logical to me. And so they're systems that I respect, they're systems that I admire, they're systems that I have looked at, read about, but they're not a system that I would ever have as my main game system, if that makes sense. There are aspects of original D&D and advanced D&D that I love. The deadliness of it, you know, kind of just the craziness of the different adventure modules and things like that. I appreciate a lot of those aspects, and I also appreciate that Wizards is trying to take those aspects from, you know, original D&D and advanced and, you know, second, and merge those with the sort of the D20 system of 3rd and some of the kind of cool class features of 4th edition. You know, they're putting all that kind of stuff together with 5th, which I really, really appreciate. And that's one of the reasons I enjoy 5th edition, because I feel like it has some of the aspects that made original D&D so great and that made it so like resonant with people, but they're kind of updating it, modernizing it, you know, for modern gamers. So that's why I like 5th edition. But yeah, so I've never played original Dungeons & Dragons, and I don't really have a huge desire to, and I know that might get me, like, strung up here, but yeah, so... And actually, I hadn't even played 2nd edition until just a couple of years ago. Dungeon Master Johnny ran a 2nd edition game, and I played in that. And I actually enjoyed 2nd edition. The THAC0, though, man, I can't get behind THAC0 to hit AC 0. What a... What a weird thing. I don't get it, but actually I did enjoy 2nd edition when I played it. So, my third RPG fact is that, and a few people actually noticed, is I actually met my fiance playing Dungeons & Dragons. Tila, she's been featured in a handful of videos now at this point. Tila was someone that I met. We had a lot of mutual friends who kept trying to set us up, and we were both kind of like really stubborn about it, and we didn't like the idea of people trying to set us up with each other, and so we kind of put off meeting each other for a long time. But eventually we ran into each other at a mutual friend's birthday party, and that's when we met. But then a mutual friend of ours invited Tila to our weekly game group. And so she came to the game group, and that's where we actually started hanging out and became friends and stuff like that, playing D&D together. And then, you know, one thing led to another, and the rest is history. But, so, if D&D wasn't important to me before, it's even more important to me now, because it allowed me to get to know this person that I now consider my partner in life, my soulmate, you know, for lack of a better phrase. It gave me an excuse to hang out with her, you know, 4 or 5 hours a week. And so I am eternally grateful to this game for allowing me, you know, that opportunity as well. So, and I think that that says a lot about the community and the social aspects of D&D, and how rewarding and how fulfilling it can be, you know, beyond the rules. You know, you can make lifelong friends with this game, and that's something I found with the Provokers is, you know, I hadn't interacted a ton with the Provokers before we started this online campaign. You know, obviously we, you know, chat because we're all part of this community, but after having played with these guys, I mean, I consider, you know, Juice, Nate, Tim, and Barker to be some of my very closest friends, and we chat just constantly. We're always talking with each other, swapping ideas, telling fart jokes, talking about fast food, all kinds of stuff. So this hobby has not only made it possible for me to meet the person that I'm meant to be with, but also for me to meet and interact with some of my dearest friends. So yeah, so that's fact number 3. Fact number 4 is that I started playing D&D, and I actually talked about this in an earlier video, but I started playing RPGs with my dad when I was a kid. And my dad grew up playing D&D and playing different games. And when I was about 10 or 11 years old, we started a Star Wars RPG one-on-one campaign. And this was West End Games, so it was the D6 system. So my first RPG was actually a Star Wars RPG. Because I was super into Star Wars as a kid. I'm super into Star Wars now, but it was like my life back then. And so my dad kind of, that's how he got me into it, was, you know, we can play the Star Wars game. And I remember even when I was playing it, I wasn't quite grasping what the game was. It was all theater of the mind, obviously no maps or anything like that. And I just couldn't fully grasp it, you know. I feel like I was a little bit too young. But it was really fun. And then a year or two later, 3rd edition was coming out. And my dad picked up the 3rd edition starter set. And that's when my real kind of descent into the world of tabletop RPGs began. Because we played a ton of 3rd edition. And then from there we played Savage Worlds and 3.5 and you know, all kinds of different systems and different genres and stuff like that. And I mean, for the longest time, my game group was my family. It was my dad, and it was my mom and my sister. You know, my mom and my sister would play with us, and we always had just a blast. You know, my dad would always dungeon master, and we would always be the players, and it was yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. And then I mean, from there, you know, going into high school and college, and I started gaming with my friends, and it's just sort of been a facet of my life ever since then. So, but the way I started in this hobby was with my family. It was playing with my dad and my mom and my sister. So, and my dad still plays. He actually games online like I do. Nothing broadcasted, but he has an online group, and they play through Google Hangouts and Skype and stuff like that. And my mom and sister haven't played for years, but they used to. So, so that was fact number 4. Fact number 5 was the inspiration for my channel. So Fistful of Dice is coming up on 3 years old at this point. Oh wow, really? Yeah, almost 3 years old, which is crazy. Been doing this for 3 years now. But when I started, there was one channel in particular that got me motivated to do it. And that was Dungeon Master Johnny. At that point, he was known as Your Dungeon Master on YouTube, but that channel isn't around anymore. But I watched Dungeon Master Johnny's videos all the time. I remember I came across, I think the first video I saw of his, it was a video where he was talking about how to run a pre-written adventure and not have it feel stale or boring. And he was, you know, describing how, you know, you need to go through the module and highlight stuff and write notes in the margins and change stuff the way you want to run them. And, you know, don't just sit there and read it. And he actually was showing to the camera how he would, you know, have eye contact with the players. And he would just kind of glance down at the book while he was reading it. But he made sure that he was looking at the players while he was talking and not just sitting there reading from the book, you know. And I saw that video and I kind of like binged watched from there. You know, I watched just a ton of his videos, watched all of his videos and started leaving comments and stuff. And from there, you know, I discovered other channels like Gentleman Gamer and Your Main Man and you know, some of the, and Tim Harper, some of the other, you know, big channels that were around that were like, you know, I always call them the OGs of the RPG community. I mean, these guys were the OGs. These guys were the godfathers of the online, the YouTube RPG community. But when I started my channel, so what I did was I filmed like 8 or 9 videos, and I didn't put them up. Mostly they were reviews. So if you'll look back at like my old videos, you'll see that a lot of them are like reviews of dungeon tile sets and map packs and Pathfinder pawns and stuff like that. But so I filmed a ton of these videos. And I also filmed a couple of tabletop tales videos. One of them was how I started out as a game master, and another one was a funny story about a terrible Star Wars campaign that I was involved in. But so I filmed all of these videos, and I sat on them for a couple weeks. And I watched them back, I edited them all, I watched them back and made sure I was happy with how I was presenting myself and how the videos turned out. And I decided, you know what, I'm just going to put them out there and see what happens. And so I uploaded all of these videos over the course of a few days, and I let them sit, and I reached out to Dungeon Master Johnny. At this point, I wasn't involved in the YouTube RPG Brigade. I wasn't on the YouTube RPG Brigade Facebook page. I wasn't in regular contact with any of these guys from the Brigade or any of the other, YouTube RPG communities. But I reached out to Dungeon Master Johnny, and I sent him a message that was basically like, hey man, really enjoy your videos. I think you're one of the best guys out there, one of the best resources for Dungeon Masters and for players, for people involved in this hobby and this community. I would love to get your feedback if you have a few free minutes. Here's one video that I think is a good indicator of what I'm about. Maybe if you get the chance, take a look at this video. Let me know what you think, and if you have any feedback for me, let me know. I'm really interested in getting better at this and improving and really kind of, staking a claim in this community. I figured, either I wouldn't hear back from him or I would, and it would just be kind of like, oh yeah, it looks good, maybe try this, maybe try that. That's what I was hoping for, was a little bit of feedback. But, so Johnny got back to me probably later that day and basically said, he said, I can tell that you're passionate about this hobby, and I can tell that you're going to put out great videos. And he said that I had a really good voice and a really good candor, a really good sort of presence, and that he was going to be sharing some of my videos around. And he did. He shared a couple of different videos that I put out. I think one of the ones that he shared was my 5 ways to improve your D&D game, which was one of my very first videos, and the video that gained, the first few hundred subscribers was that video, and it's still my most watched video to this day. But Johnny shared that out, and man, I think DMJ is responsible for my first few hundred subscribers. He shared that video out, and I think I got close to 100 subs in a day. Just from him sharing that video out. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed. And, DMJ was always good about commenting on my videos, sharing my videos around. We would kind of communicate back and forth, and, became like really good friends. And eventually, I got to be a part of the Crimson Tigers with Carl from Natural 20 Games, Kirk from PhD&D, and Keith Hershey Jr., we were the original Crimson Tigers, this party that Johnny put together. And we won the Challenge of Champions, and then went on to play in a campaign, and had a ton of fun with that. So, but that's my channel. I was motivated and inspired to get into this community because of Dungeon Master Johnny and guys like him, guys that were around, 3 or 4 years ago, making videos and really establishing the foundation that the rest of us are building upon. These guys really set the precedent, and I'll be forever grateful and forever humbled, at the fact that Dungeon Master Johnny saw something in me that he thought was worth sharing with the greater community. And so that's really what got me off the starting block, man. And that's really what started it all, was Dungeon Master Johnny sharing that video. So, but yeah, okay, so I think that was 5. I think it was 5 RPG facts. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Kind of a rambly little thing, but I said last year that I wanted to get I wanted to do more community response videos, so that's why I'm doing this. But so yeah, so Tim, Nate, Jenny, Kirk, and Alex, I'm tagging you guys. I hope you decide to respond and have 5 RPG facts of your own. And I hope that you tag 5 other people and we just kind of keep this going. So big thanks to AJ Pickett for tagging me. Big thanks to Sean Vegvari for getting this thing started. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for me. Take care and happy gaming all.